This is a fairly interesting comparison, if you ask me. Ronnie Coleman, 1994, versus Phil Heath of 2008. Ronnie did compete in 1992, but he didn't even place, and there was no pictures available. And I really wanted to do the first Olympia of Ronnie versus the first Olympia of Dr. Phil Heath. And for all intensive purposes, that's what this is. And in the front relaxed position, it's plain to see Ronnie Coleman, structurally speaking, is better than the Dr. Phil Heath. Look at that waistline. Tiny, tiny, tiny. And he stands about, I don't know, 3 inches taller, maybe more. Hard to say, really. And as far as weights are concerned, I don't even bother putting them. Somebody always corrects me. And when it comes to weights, I don't really mean to get sidetracked too much, but I like to get this off my chest. Nobody really knows. Even the athletes themselves, they fluctuate from 7 to 10 pounds in one evening, and they can't go weigh themselves 10 times. And furthermore, they lie. Look at this picture here. This is an actual screenshot of the 2018 Mr. Olympia. This is Rolly Winkler. He's 287 pounds. If he's 287, look at him compared to the 287 or the 290-pound Ronnie Coleman, or so he was, whatever. But can you imagine? These guys are the same weight. Get out of town. People are so gullible. But anyway, like I said, I don't like to get sidetracked. Let's jump into the muscularity round, in which case, once again, Ronnie Coleman just has the edge as far as the natural structure is concerned. Look at the waistline, much smaller, and the arms, much peakier. Of course, he does not have the forearms of the Dr. Phil Heath. And not to mention, the Doctor is striking the pose a little bit better, I believe. I never really appreciated when somebody holds their arms up when they do a front double bicep. I like the straight across one of the Doctor. So if I was going to judge this one, I would give it to the Dr. Phil Heath. But this is less of a judging venture, guys. The front lat spread, now I went with a Arnold's Classics, I believe this is for Ronnie Coleman. It was a 94 anyway. And you cannot see the front on pose. Let's have a 96, I guess this is. And he was a lot bigger. But this is as early as I could find a front straight on front lat spread of Ronnie Coleman, and it is phenomenal. He's just blasting Phil Heath out of the whatever. And I believe in 94, it couldn't have been that much worse than this. So you'd have to think the Doctor would lose a point in the front lat spread. Side chest shot. I'm not going to write home to my mother about either one of these guys. In this shot, Ronnie Coleman really needed more size to pull this one off, and the Doctor had yet perfected this shot. Now, they both have a version of this in their later years that is probably among the top 10 side chests of all time. But here, I don't know, I would go with Ronnie Coleman. I just do not like that split in the Doctor's pec. Very unaesthetic. Once again, I had to use a alternative version of Ronnie King Coleman. He actually has hair and a mustache in this version. He tilts himself a lot in this one, I think, just to show that he has a nice rear tricep. Do you notice that? Fantastic. But it does nothing for the display of the rest of the physique. The Doctor just simply stands there and he looks fantastic. Although, food for thought, I don't like when they stand straight on like this. But I mean, it beats what Coleman's doing. So the Doctor picks up a fairly easy point here. Rear lat spread. This is of the 1995 Ronnie Coleman. But I looked at all the pictures, guys, and the 94 and 95 Coleman, virtually identical. It wasn't until 1996 that he really exploded in size. Then it would be a little unfair. I have to say, when you look at the glutes, and I'm sure people are turning this away. They're tired of me talking about glutes. But I mean, this is conditioning, guys, and the Doctor, he has a little bit tighter of conditioning, and the hamstrings a little bit tighter as well. Slightly looser of Ronnie King Coleman. Now, don't get me wrong, he is very conditioned here. Compare it with him with any guys from 96 besides maybe Dorian and maybe Sean Ray, but he is just as conditioned. The back development it is better for King Coleman. So he is actually getting a point here in the rear lat spread. Well, actually, I don't know. Dr. Phil looks pretty good, and his conditioning is better as well. Coleman is pretty close, though. This is a close shot, guys. Let's have a look at the other back shot, and we'll make a decision based on that. And I have to say, Coleman, he did not translate very well in this shot back then anyway. I mean, he looks good, don't get me wrong. We're putting him up against Dr. Phil Heath. And Phil's rear lat spread, he kind of sucked back then. But his rear double by was killer. He's actually crushing the King Coleman here. And of course, the conditioning, same. I mean, actually, Coleman, he looks a little tighter in the hamstrings and maybe in the glutes here than in the rear lat spread. Oh, yes, it was a 95 rear lat spread. So he was a little bit more conditioned in 94 for that rear lat spread. So maybe I will give that one to Coleman. If he had these glutes here, it would have been tighter. Yes. So the rear double by goes to Phil. The rear lat goes to the King Coleman. And that's fair, guys. There's no politics there. I like both of these guys. Neither one of them are my favorite, mind you. The ab and thigh. This is a telling tale. This is more to do with their genetic traits, of course. And King Coleman is just better, speaking about their abs are concerned. The doctor, I never liked his blocky, square abs, especially in a shot like this. King Coleman, he has a pin head here. Better V-taper, bigger set of legs. Not a better set of legs. The doctor has some fine cuts there. But King Coleman, without a doubt, is winning this ab and thigh shot. Final pose, most muscular. Once again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but the structure is just better for King Coleman. Look how wide his clavicle is. When you just look at the chests, and you know I focus a lot on the chest in this shot anyway, King Coleman is very dominant. But when you look at the arms, Phil Heath domination. But anyway, it's close. I actually prefer the ab in this time, the abs for Dr. Phil. Of course, you can't see King Coleman's. And I guess I'm going to lean slightly towards the doctor because his legs look better in this comparison, guys. So, is it Phil Heath domination or not? Let's look at the crab. And it was hard to get the sizes correctly here. King Coleman is bent over substantially here. So I made the doctor a little bit taller, and I think that is correct. And at the end of the day, that thin skin of Coleman, I believe, if they were both standing in front of me, I think I would be much more impressed with that thin skin. It's very, very dramatic. So I guess a toss-up between the pair in the most muscular. And because of that, King Coleman gets a slight edge. And this was less of a judging venture, ladies and gentlemen. This was just kind of comparing the two, but you can't help but judge it. And King Coleman has a slight edge. So, as far as their genetics are concerned, he may have that equally slight edge. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this comparison, and look forward to one with perhaps the 2007 King Coleman and the 2018 Dr. Phil. Could it be another loss for the doctor, or will it be Phil Heath domination? Who knows? Hit thumbs up on this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Have a fantastic day, guys.